So, good afternoon, and welcome in to another Titan Talk. It's Friday, the 23rd of January, and that means it's time to go through...
You wanted to so bad.
I didn't even get the reference of this. Oh my god, he did the Rebecca Black bit.
Really? Fun.
Looking forward to the ice storm.
Yeah. Okay, that's actually a good place to start. Good. Oh, echo. There's an echo, clumsy echo.
Enjoy the echo. I'll fix it.
Clumsy echoing. Echo.
Wait.
Smite cards.
Okay, I can talk? No, I shouldn't. I'll wait. Can you hear us now? And is there no echo?
Smite cards.
We'll wait for chat to respond.
I'm not really helping, am I? But okay, how about that, guys? We good?
Good. Okay, great. Okay, so
Nice.
Turn it off and on again.
for those of you who are not Americans or who are not this part of the world,
Hemisphere.
yes. There is a massive ice storm that is working its way through America right now. This ice storm is expected to hit the greater Atlanta area Saturday night.
That's Neros.
Which is where we live. And deposit up to a ½ inch or more of freezing rain, which will solidify into a ½ inch of ice and potentially shut down the area for a long time. If that happens, there's probably not going to be a Titan Talk on Monday. There may not be a patch on Tuesday if we don't have electricity and we can't upload the patch.
Yeah, that'd do it.
Yeah.
So we are currently moving forward, expecting that there'll be a show on Monday, that the patch will go live on Tuesday. But if we are all sitting freezing our butts off in our houses with no electricity,
then you get no game.
There will probably not be an update on Tuesday. And we will update you as much as we can as soon as we know more about how the weather is looking.
Exactly.
So,
for the rest of the world that is outside of the US and thinks, what, ½ inch of snow? What? Ice. The infrastructure here isn't really designed to deal with it very well, on top of the fact the infrastructure for the power could be a big potential issue. So that's why we're kind of preparing you all, because it could be an eventuality where a lot of Georgia potentially loses power in other states as well.
Yeah.
So if that is the case, we might not be able to even do work, even if we would like to, which is kind of normal.
Yeah, one person in chat says generators are sold out. Yeah, all the, every propane powered heater or kerosene powered heater is sold out in hundreds of miles of here. Every generator is sold out. There have been runs on the bread and milk at the grocery stores. Everybody's trying to prep and survive. What could be a week without electricity if things are really bad. Because I'm serious. Because the ice is actually more dangerous than the snow for this.
Sure.
Because it's heavier and it adds so much weight to the branches and to the power lines that it causes them to break a lot more. Yeah. So
it's just a surreal experience for me where I'm like live in Europe and it's freezing and snowing all the time, and people are driving around and we're like, no, we just can't function.
I was in Boston and Canada before Atlanta.
Yeah. It's and people that are like, I live in Michigan, I live in Minnesota. You prepare for this. We live in the South where we prepare for humidity, and heat.
And it's the state really. It's more than
I'm from California. I'm just an adopted resident here.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, just keep an eye on that. Not trying to scare you all too much, but just prepare in the eventuality of you all being surprised.
I saw people saying that the trees were exploding. That something about the cold temperature can cause certain trees to explode. I don't know.
New aspect for Sylvanas.
I was going to say Sylvanas aspect. Yeah. Relates him. A couple of other things to mention before we get into. So what we're here for today, obviously, is a balance overview. That's why we've got the lovely Clumsy on the show, just to give us a recap of what God balance and item balance is going in the game. A couple of other things to mention. We do have a Twitch drop for Discordia still available for you this week and for next week, available by watching your favorite streamers. So make sure you check out the Twitch drop there. Ambassador applications and Stream Team applications are still active.
Have you gotten just 3 or 4 of those? Not too many people want to join the Stream Team or the ambassadors?
I think I showed Clumsy today, but I'm over 60 applications for the Stream Team so far easily.
Fun.
And at least
I was just hovering over Hindu's shoulder, being like, not that
400 or
person,
500 for the ambassador program. A lot of people that I know have been suspended or said really bad things have applied to be an ambassador. I'm not going to be wasting my time there. And so if you don't get in, you probably know why on that front. But yeah, we've had a lot of applications already. The applications do close on February 1st. There is no exact timeline on when you will know whether the ambassadors are completed.
Because we got more applications than we were expecting, basically. It's going to take a little while.
If you feed in my games, I'm denying you from the program.
So everybody then.
Yeah, shit.
You can't be on the program yourself. That's crazy.
That's okay.
Feeding mine. But yeah, that's the stream team stuff. Additionally, we did mention we're going to talk about a little bit about esports today, so I do have some stuff to announce. First and foremost, this was already announced a little bit earlier on, but SMITE Prime is back once again. For the month of February, this is a bit of a kickoff month, I want to say, and a couple of differences compared to what SMITE Prime has been doing with the monthlies. For February alone, though, we're going to be doing an NA Conquest 1 week only with a small prize pool. Then we're going to do an EU Conquest as well, because we do still value Europe. However, I want to see the interest level there in the esports world and see if we can get some growth. And additionally, the last one on the list, which I think a lot of people are like, oh, wait, what? There will be a Joust Conquest, a Joust tournament on the 28th of February as well. So sign up with your threes teams there, or find a couple of people to play with and sign up for that. There will be cash prizes and diamonds on the line for each of those. Additionally, there will be a couple of other events activated soon. Keep posted. I'll keep tuning to Titan Talks. I'll give you more information related to those. But that's what's coming here.
People are asking, can anybody sign up for this? Yes, just
All
go
open.
to smiteprime.com and you can play in any of these tournaments.
Yep.
I note that there's no tournaments on February 14th. Are you assuming that Smite players have significant others and will not be available that time?
Are you suggesting they don't?
I wasn't saying whether they did or they didn't. I was just saying.
This is so messed up.
To be
As the only single person
be
on this
fair,
table, I feel
after discussing
targeted.
after discussing with a couple of different people, everybody seems to be concerned that we may not have people around on February 14th, and it will cause problems. So it's better not to run one for that weekend.
Okay.
Is the reason that I would say whatever. Listen, if your partner cares about you enough, she'll let you do it, or he'll let you do it. You know, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. You should still be able to play comp. It's not going to take all day, is it? Right? You still got the evening,
you
the morning.
Probably going to lose in round 1. Yeah.
That's the plan. She unplugs at the internet. It's fine. So let's have a look at SMITE Primes for esports stuff. And additionally, mentioning Valentine's Day, we do have a Divine Valentine's art competition starting up.
Oh, sick.
So if you'd like to submit your art submissions for February, we'll be doing a review of those too. Once again, small prize pool on the line for the winners, and we'll review those a little bit closer towards the time. But that is also available for you to start working on some artwork related to the Valentine's Day theme. And that's all my little notifications for today, I believe. No, one more. Ranked.
Oh, yeah. This is a big one. Well,
big one, small one.
Just to be aware of.
Yeah, just big awareness for the most part. The ranked system will come down on Monday midnight ET, which is 6 a.m. Central Europe time, or CT, I believe, at the moment. So 6 a.m. ranked will be down on the Tuesday morning before the update. This is just to prepare for the ranked updates that are coming through. So we'll be bringing down ranked a little bit earlier. Once the update goes through, all being well with the snow and the sleet, once the update goes through, ranked will be turned back on and you should all be good to go. That's just the update there. Just want to make people aware ahead of time that we will be bringing ranked down a little bit earlier in prepreration for the update.
Yeah.
Nice.
So if you are trying to play ranked after midnight Eastern on Monday, can't do it. You can still play casual.
Modes will still be available. Yeah.
But we just have to turn off ranked a little bit early so that we can start running the scripts that will update everybody's, ranked frames and reset the ranks and all of that. So
make everyone lose their SR. Goodbye.
I think that's everything I had to cover today. Cool. All right. See you later.
All right. Good show.
All right.
Jumped up. Moving on then.
Balance.
It's time for balance with Chiron coming on through. Let's just go straight into
We're
it.
horsing around.
Any specific things you want to talk about before we go into it? Just show the notes. So in terms of the order, by the way, we're going to start off with gods today because that's what Clumsy put in the list.
Do we usually do it the opposite way?
Normally, yeah, but I don't care.
Oh, okay.
If you said it me this way, let's go with it this way.
Yeah, gotcha.
Who minds? This is also available for those overview on SMITE Prime as well, if you want to check these out for your content creators as well. This is the overview, however, not final. As always, final. These things may change over the weekend, especially if there's no ice and issues there. But just keep an eye out for any changes that come from this. But we're going to start things off here with Bacchus getting a buff. Clumsy.
Yeah, I mean, just as I think Pon teased about it in the last Titan Talk, and as we're going through here, there's nothing like massive sweeping stuff happening. These are really just going to be, traditional buffs and nerfs based on how the characters are performing. So if you see things that are stronger, that's because the gods aren't doing so well.
Okay.
Or, Bacchus, wasn't out of all the guardians that are on the list, on the lower side of things, gonna get some love. Chug, increased damage on the scaling. So this is the hit that you do after you do a chug. Not gonna be getting that at rank 0, of course, when you first start the game. Gonna be doing more damage based on how many protections you have. Belt of the Gods, the third ability, will be doing more damage per tick, just a little bit, but of course, because that's per tick, that's gonna add up.
How many ticks is
5
that?
to
A good amount. It's Probably like 4 or 5 or 6, somewhere there.
Yeah, something like that.
I'm going to say 5. Off the top of my head.
I believe you.
I'm just counting the audio in my head because that's how
Yeah,
I do.
like,
With Smite, for me, it's just always audio.
Yeah.
I just don't say it out loud.
Flare Boot says 4, so it's 4.
Is it 4? I don't believe
probably
Flare.
has a
Flare
game
Boot's not always right, you know. I'm just going to put that out there. He's not.
But he's going to be right
He's
coming
not.
up with the...
Opinionated, sure, right?
Literally one of the changes on the screen itself is from a Flare Boot
I've seen
change.
so many iterations
Put
of
out
Book of
there.
Thoth over the years in Smite 1. I'm not going to believe it's always accurate. Okay. Barry, next up, is also receiving a buff. Reverent Steps now grants attack speed.
Oh,
So
interesting.
Barry's one of the gods who has a very, very high skill ceiling, right? And a pretty high skill floor. We've seen different types of play styles with Bari, but one of the ones that has never shined that much is the attack strength based Bari. I think Int Bari has been doing better. So this is kind of a new functionality that exists to help that level of Bari, which is Reverent Steps will give you attack speed on damaging a god. Mystic Surge increases this attack speed bonus, so you'll be able to kind of like double up on that a little bit if you're playing aggressively with a Mystic Surge. We want to see how this plays out a little bit. It's a completely new component. It should really, anything that's like this, where it's a new component and kind of a new stat that the character doesn't usually utilize, always tends to have pretty strong feedback from it in terms of like how the performance goes. So we're excited to see how this feels for Bari players, and let us know, because this won't really be as impactful for an int-based build.
Okay. Next on the list, we've got Discordia, who will be seeing some nerfs, obviously. A lot of people have been saying she seems a bit potent, and seems so.
She's potent. She's not like massively strong, and I think the aspect data is coming in, like, you know, there's going to be a little bit of feedback there to play around with. There's nothing that we need to hotfix per se for the aspect, but we're going to be keeping our eyes on it. The symbol changes, you know, I stream at my Discord, Flare Boot specifically was just like, these symbols make no sense. So we've played around with the
Was
symbols.
that an attempt at a British accent?
A little bit.
Clubs has got a little bit of a hidden one anyway. Yeah, it's
I've
kind of
got some skeletons in my closet.
Okay, all right.
That was all. Okay. Comes to the gods.
Scale.
Change the symbols associated to each of the buffs to be more consistent.
They're
so
more thematic.
Delta
They're
regen.
just, there you go.
And then concept
Delta
of
means
gods.
change.
Yeah,
Your
see,
health is changing.
There we go. Yeah, exactly. Omega's got that powerful sense.
And Sigma's
Sigma, I think,
related to ranked.
Some,
There
right?
you go.
Concept of
stealing
gods.
my life.
Passive, decrease the intelligence per level from 1.5 to 1.
Yeah, so always an opportunity to curtail some of those like permanent strength that you get, in this case intelligence, but and the lifesteal on that rotating buff being decreased. Those were meant to be fun things. The lifesteal being that high, you know, for around 6 seconds or so was, you know, even this could be curtailed a little bit, but I don't think this is going to be too much of an issue. Erratic behavior is the one part that I think everyone was really talking about for Discordia, which is, well, one, we're increasing the cooldown, so just a little bit, you know, less often, but two, is we're decreasing the amount of cooldown reduction you get per tick.
Cool.
So that way you're not cycling through your cooldowns as often.
Yeah.
It's not a massive change, but it will really matter, especially as you're using the new +1 component, allowing that ability to kind of last a little bit longer. But between these two changes, this will just be kind of like just tapering the edge off of how strong Discordia is. But again, she's not overperforming by a large margin at all. So we just want to see how these changes would feel first.
Okay. Let's have a look then at Discordia. Next up is Carly going to be getting some buffs. Nimble Strike, increase the damage from
a
70
lot
to
of
290.
changes here based on Kali and for the aspect. Kali has not been doing very strong at all. So you're going to see a little bit more love here. Nimble Strike's that first ability. That's, you know, it's going to require, it's a good chunk of damage coming in here on the base damage only, not on the scaling, but it does require you to be aggressive with it, right? But this will help with your jungle clear as well if you need to. Lash is going to be getting that strength scaling and intelligence scaling. So this is going to be on the burst damage of that Lash, not on like the ticking bleed damage.
Gotcha.
Destruction, again, sticking with the base damage here because we want to be careful with how much we add to the scaling, how much we just add to like just base Kali. That damage is going to be going up, which won't be affecting the aspect, which will be getting a benefit from the other stuff, but the aspect has also been underperforming, so we're going to be increasing that that I think it's rupture or like that proc damage that you get after getting the 5 stacks for both the base and the per level component, because that doesn't actually have a scaling component with strength or intel. It's just based off of the per level, so she should be feeling a lot better across the spectrum: strength, int, and aspect.
Next up, another nerf coming through for Kukulkan. I'm excited about this one for the aspect, Clums, because it was potent.
Yeah, so the aspect...
I keep saying potent, but it was. Yeah.
The aspect is interesting because it's doing okay, but it's doing almost a little bit over the line for like solo builds and tanky Kukulkan aspects. Which, again, it may be designed more for like a jungle aggressive assassin, but if it ends up being kind of like Scylla, more of a bruiser one, that's okay. But it was more oppressive in that state.
That's fact.
So we wanted to kind of curtail those a little bit. So Zephyr, the slow, is going to be decreasing by 10% across all ranks. Slipstream, the 2, is actually going to be losing the protections buff component. So you can still remove the enemy's protections, but you will not be gaining the protections back to yourself.
Cool. Okay.
But we're also going to reduce the protections that you are reducing on the enemy by a little bit as well. Again, in either version of the aspect, he's technically not overperforming,
Yeah.
but we wanted to kind of just drive the edge off it in a very targeted direction, and then we can readdress how this feels.
Okay. Medusa, also going to see a nerf. We did buffer, but it looks
Medusa,
like
those buffs shot her sky high.
Really?
So between those and maybe the attack damage change that we did with items, this is just a straight revert for one of the bullet points that we did in the last set of buffs. So we want to see how this feels. We could literally just see Medusa go straight up with her last changes. So now, hopefully this brings her back a little bit more in line.
Awesome. Merlin, also going to be seeing some buffs.
Yeah, Merlin it's interesting because even before Polynomicon got changed to be quote unquote weaker or different, Merlin was actually underperforming at that time.
Right.
But it was just awkward because Polynomicon was kind of inflating Merlin's perception.
Hiding his issues.
Exactly. But now with those changes, it's just strictly clear that Merlin's not really been performing so well. He's on the bottom like 5 to 10 of the gods in the rank across like all spectrums. So we're giving him a little bit of love and getting him a little bit of love on the stance that people tended to use a little bit less on, which is the fire stance. So Radiate and Dragonfire are getting some damage, a little bit of scaling on Dragonfire, which is kind of the emplaced one, and it's a small cooldown reduction at the early game only for Vortex, which is that arcane second ability.
Cool. Next on the list is Nut. Also going to be seeing a bit of a nerf, and this is really focused towards the aspect. We've seen a lot of people a bit frustrated with that, with the sustain, I guess, and also what it's bringing to the table.
It's really cool seeing the aspect come in. It's really cool seeing people playing them a lot, but then we also saw Newt's aspect being played, in solo lane, in as a carry ADC as well, not even being used for the non-aspect stance. So we're seeing all of this hitting aspect only, decreasing the inner damage by 10%, removing the base damage component completely from the aspect, and decreasing the damage mitigation per stack, and also fixing some issues as well. So fixed issue where you can consume more than a single stack to heal. Fixed issue where dying would consume all stacks immediately and heal for each stack. So all of these things together, including the bug fixes, should allow for a nerfed Newt's aspect experience. If we need to hit more later on, we can definitely do so.
And I think
I've been really enjoying Newt's non-aspect intelligence myself, so that's been a lot of fun.
I was going to say, I think a lot of people complain about the heal. With these adjustments we've seen in the fixes, we can look at that again if need be.
Absolutely.
Makes a lot of sense there. So there's a little look at Nut aspect. Goodness. Sun Wukong is going to be getting a buff to his Master's Will.
Just a small one here aimed at the base damage late game only. For Sun Wukong. His early game and early game clear is fine, but his mid to late game and his effectiveness in team fights and to help kind of close out a game is actually pretty low. Like since his release and since all the aspect changes and since his int builds and stuff, we're actually not seeing as much Sun Wukong as one would expect. So we want it to be really light here because I think there's still kind of this PTSD feeling of when Sun Wukong was strong. So just we have seen historically in Smite 1 as well, small base damage changes can go a really long way. So.
Next one on the list is an interesting one because I think it's going to really have all players frustrated, but everybody else is excited about the Ul 1 no longer going through walls.
Yeah, so this is a parody with Smite 1 now. I talked upon it, and I can't remember if we came up with the consensus or not, but I don't remember, and I'm not sure if the designers are here, when we added this change as a +1, whether this was meant to be a feature, a parody change on purpose as a feature change. But we agree that this probably doesn't feel so good. He's already got a lot of effectiveness. He can already shoot, his hail of arrows or glare of arrows, whatever it is, over walls. And then him having to commit is really important. So we thought this was a fair criticism to, bring back to parody or just honestly just nerf. It doesn't, not everything has to be a parody change. And there will be a coupled item change, which will also be a small nerf to gods like Uller as well, which we can talk about in a little bit.
He deserves it.
I was being really casual and Gil goes murder.
F that god in particular.
Amazing.
Whenever I lane it, over the last patch, every time I lane against an Uller, it's just
it's great.
It's an awful day.
To be fair, if I remember correctly, actually his stats did climb, so I'm not gonna say that anymore. Historically, Uller is also high skill ceiling, high skill floor, but I think his stats recently have been decent. So.
Ymir.
We're buffing Ymir?
Yeah,
I thought he was already good. He's not good?
So Bacchus and Ymir were on the bottom edge of the Guardian. So like I said, sometimes we just want to look at the bottom and see what we can give a little bit of love to. Ymir's Frost Breath, I mean, to be fair, his Frost Breath did 50 damage. Sure, it's a stun, but if you just want to help minion clear and stuff, that is actually pretty rough. So
are you telling people to clear minions with Frost Breath?
If there's no one else around, sure.
Okay.
Or jungle Ymir,
But you use it to apply the Frostbite, so your basics deal more damage.
That's true, but now you get a little bit of both. Because, one's a passive, one's a damage, and now he's getting just a little bit more love.
second one I saw the
Second one's
Shards of
pretty
Ice.
spicy. Shards of Ice is a little bit hard to use, and it already scales to the 70 seconds, so we're giving that the love early on as well. So you're gonna have 70 seconds all the time. And also, if you pop this ability early, you get the damage reduction. So you're actually going to be doing 35% of the total damage. Now that's going to scale, and that scales linearly. Now that'll scale linearly from 50%. So if you want to insta-pop, or if you can't get it all the way, it'll still be pretty
So if
solid.
I insta-pop that, I'm going to get 50% of the damage off.
Yes.
From the
Instead of 35%. Yeah.
Wow.
So that should feel pretty good.
Cool. I'm excited.
Yeah,
about
you
that
excited?
one. Yeah, I'm not excited about that one. Instant burst damage on your
like
I mean, it's
playing
still
more mirror
50%.
this
It's,
patch.
Zeus is the last one we have on the
Zeus
God
is the last
list today.
one. So
some buffs.
one bug fix, I think this was from the Ambassador channel.
Yeah.
This actually had a lot of fun in it because there was like a whole comment chain in the blueprints that we were sending each other because no one, like, this fix wasn't like easy to do at the time, but now it's easy to do, so that's great. But Detonate, if you had 3 charges on someone of the passive, if you hit someone that's damage immune with the Detonate ability, it should do no damage, but it should still stun. But for some reason, they were coupled together.
That makes sense.
Now this is fixed. If you're damage immune, you will still get stunned. You, of course, won't take the damage. So that's a bug fix, but it's important to note here because it is kind of like it does affect his balance a little bit. Thunderclap, the second ability, it scales all the way to 30%. Now it's going to be 30% flat for the attack speed. This will help different types. This will still help ability-based Zeus. It's always helpful to have more basic attacks, especially with his passive, but this will help, mage ADC types of Zeus as well.
And then Lightning Storm.
The Lightning Storm. The base damage is honestly just kind of laughable. 20 damage per rank is decent, but it's also going to be per strike, of course.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a few strikes.
If you get someone caught in it, it's still going to do a lot of damage. We didn't want to just up the scaling for things. We do think that Zeus, like, once he gets online and in the right cases, can still absolutely carry games, but he's not performing all that well. He's not even performing that well in the casual game modes, which is usually when you can tell that Zeus is suffering. Because if he's not doing well in, like, Arena and even, like, Joust and stuff, then he's definitely not doing well in Conquest.
Next, then, we move on to items. Any specifics on items before we go into it?
There'll be some things that people kind of expect with, like, lifesteal a little bit and maybe a tiny bit of, like, mage itemization, but just on a light sense. So let's talk about it first because I don't want to get people too excited about it before we get into it. Sorry, let's go through it first. Is what
okay. Let's talk about it first before we go into it. That's kind of what I was trying to set up for.
This is going to be just some small stuff here.
Items.
So again, just like we talked about with gods, you're going to see a lot of items that weren't being utilized that well getting some love. Erudite, some might think that this looks like really strong. Increase the strength by 10 to 55 to 65. Increase the proc damage bonus. Erudite's just like historically hasn't been used for like months and months and months.
Small window in the sun.
Exactly. And we've nerfed a lot of the higher strength items as well. That we wanted to make sure the ones that are meant to be kind of more luxury, that are meant to be kind of more interesting, do still maintain that status. So Erudite,
65 is a lot.
65 is a lot.
Okay.
But we've also nerfed some strength, and we will continue to nerf some strength on other things, as we're going to see here. Bloodbound Book, increase the intelligence from 60 to 70, and you're going to see a couple more items. I'm going to skip ahead, for example, like Gluttonous Grimoire, that you're going to see a couple of items that will get some intelligence increases because they're not being utilized as much. Dwarven Plate, again, and one of the tankier items that's not getting utilized very much, and we wanted to give it a little bit of love with the protections increases, just base stats, but also a little bit of shift on the active protection increase. The way this item works is depending on which one you have active, the magical or the physical, you get the 30%, which is now the 30%, or the 10% for the other one.
Okay.
We're shifting this a little bit, so it's not as good in both cases, but it will be better in the one that you're kind of actively defending against.
A trickier item that as well, just because of the new active items coming in, makes it even harder to try and fit in builds sometimes. So maybe.
But when you do, and you're kind of like keeping that in your memory in the forefront, it will be better for doing so. Eye of Erebus, one of the items that came out with like the Moonlight patch, and honestly has been lackluster since then. But I think a lot of that was the fear of having like another damage proccing item that can exist, and then people, I think they heard it in the Titan Talk or saw it in like PTS or something, and we're just kind of flipped out a little bit. Now we're giving it a little bit more love, both on the stats and on the size of it, so it can just be utilized a little bit more.
Grimoire, you kind of touched on, going to get an intelligence buff, and then we move on to Heartseeker.
Yeah, Heartseeker, and there'll be a couple of items here that you'll see. I guess the order I could have probably prioritized them non-alphabetically, but just a little bit of damage reduction off of Heartseeker. And again, I want to couple that bullet point with a couple of other ones coming up. Okay. Hydra's Lament, this is the one we were talking about. I think a lot of people in chat guessed this. This will be nerfing the Ulers, nerfing the Jingweis, nerfing a lot of characters because the ranged characters will now be doing a different attack damage compared to the non-ranged or the melee characters who will still maintain that 30%. So now there's going to be two different values of 30% for melee, 20% for ranged.
I'm hoping that we also see the Crusher under T.
Oh, we might see that. So Jade Scepter is an interesting one though, not to interrupt you, because this is actually cut on the page of the intelligence. We're about to see the next page of things as well.
You ready?
Yeah, intelligence going up, but also
Health going up.
Yeah, you see some stuff there on the T section. Health going up as well. But this new feature is what's important here because it's going to be changing the functionality of Jade Scepter's active just a little bit. So now any god hit will now be knocked back towards the caster. And if the caster was also hit, they will be knocked back in the direction the caster was hit. The way this item has changed, it has gone from like the cone pushback to kind of just like the knockback in an area. But we realized that like the kind of the random nature of it in the new version, while interesting and kind of fun, it wasn't kind of the healthiest version for it. So now it's much more purposeful. This is bringing
like
people kind of
like
towards
a
me.
pull.
It's absolutely more for like mage bruisers or for supports to be utilizing. That's why you can see even the health going up than it is for the previous version, which was like a get away from me kind of feeling. So you can still use it. Like if you want to combo this with like Cuckoo into your ulti, you can predict where people are going to land much more easily, but it's much more of like, you know, maybe an Athena or a Bacchus or getting people kind of towards me and away from others, right?
Okay.
So the functionality is going to be changing quite a bit, but the goal of it is changing quite a bit.
Quick question based off the fact we kind of discussed Hercules 2 there as a kind of an example of it kind of pulling you towards them a little bit. Yeah. If I reposition by somehow after using that, are they going to still come towards me?
It'll be heading in your direction. It's not going to be all the way to you.
That's what I'm saying. Like if I move,
it's not as strong as Hercules.
Okay, it was just more like if I blink after using that at the same time, am I going to...
We'll have to double check the functionality once it's in PTS.
I just know these are questions that people are going to ask. Like, wait, can I do crazy stuff with it? Jotun's Revenge is going to be seeing a buff, mana increase.
Yeah, so Jotun's Revenge is decently popular. I think it's one of those staples that we've always seen in Smite 1, we always see in Smite 2, even if it itself is actually just doing okay. So that's why we didn't want to just give it like, you know, any strength increases or cooldown changes, but we actually gave it a little bit of love on a tangent, allowing people to utilize this more with Transcendence builds, because we had a lot of people saying how like strength and mana based builds don't exist so much. So considering Jotun's needed a buff and kind of playing on Smite 1 where it had like a mana tie-in as well, we wanted to provide that back.
Just 250 mana for nothing, that's great.
250 mana because it's just an okay item.
Sure. Pendulum Blade decreased the cost.
Pendulum Blade. A lot of people are going to be surprised by this one, but I think it's because... So, Pendulum Blade getting a buff because it's not actually performing that well. People are going to be surprised because I think they believe that Pendulum Blade is really good already. But I think it's one of those cases where it's really good in the right hands, at the like right place, right time, right situation kind of thing. But if you just have it and you don't make utilize of the active in the right way, it's kind of just like wasted cooldowns. Like, it's almost better to have Jotuns, to have things that are just actively proccing than something that you need to proc yourself when you can misuse it and mistime it. So Pendulum Blade getting some love. It's pretty fun. I enjoy using it a lot. It's like a soft Mirrodin in a way, but also people don't use Mirrodin even though people say it's really, really good. So Sanguine Lash. I think people are going to be excited to see another Lash nerf.
I was going to say, just keep Lash, nerf,
nerf.
Yeah,
absolutely. Remove the lifesteal on use, which is one going to just help a little bit with the restoration during combat and stuff, but also I think the lifesteal that it gained fed back into the damage that it dealt. So this is also a damage decrease as well.
Cool. Next up is Sphere of Negation. Now, this is one that's been quite common, everyone complaining about, because it wasn't bought for a long, long time, and all of a sudden, everyone's realizing, wait a second, this is a great item.
I saw like
Why am I not putting
a mid lane Uller get it first item, and I was like, what's going on here? Against a mage, of course.
And that's why it got nerfed?
And no, that's not the reason why it got nerfed. It got nerfed because everyone was talking about it. Yep. It got nerfed because I think Saichi said she was going to be really, really sad if it didn't get nerfed. So, you know, we wanted to make sure we keep our ambassadors happy too. Sphere of Negation, and of course, it deserved it, right?
Sure.
Decreasing the magical protections, decreasing the shield, decreasing the maximum shield. It's just getting kind of hit across the board. You know, with the changes that it got, it's been pretty good for a little bit, and it just needed a little bit. Honestly, just a simple nerf here. It just needed a little bit of a
small
curtailing.
We'll keep an eye on it, see if it needs more or less, even in that case too. Next up is the Crusher in alphabetical order.
Exactly. The Crusher, well, it's losing a little bit of strength. So you might have the Erendite buffs, but you're getting the Crusher nerfs, right? Strength decrease, subsequent hits on the bonus damage going to be decreased. The Reaper getting lifesteal decrease. So we've been doing nerfs to it. Yeah. People still enjoy it, and that's fine. We think that the place where it needs a little bit of a hit is not necessarily on the strength anymore or the cost, but on the lifesteal and what it provides instead. And you're going to see that somewhere else as well.
And Time Lock Aegis, a little look at this now. Now, I think this is one of the ones that people have been like, hey, seems pretty potent with what's going on with this item.
I think this has been the strongest of the like relic upgrades, and you know, people are utilizing it and really well. It's been really interesting to see, and I've seen it used a lot in my games against me, and it's fun because I think there's less relic upgrades that I've seen than I kind of expected to see. I think I see this one and the shell one the most. Yeah. But this one is performing the best, so we wanted to just kind of hit it across all places. The duration kind of cascades down to all of the other effects, and it's going to be really, really important to just lose out on some of that invulnerability as well.
So regen going down, cooldown reduction going down on this, and the duration of this effect is going down too.
Exactly.
And it'll continue to be monitored and see if it brings it a bit more in line. Next up is Typhon's Heart. I don't know what else.
So we saw the Gluttonous Grimoire change. We saw we had the I think it was Bloodbund book change. We're also increasing the intelligence of this item, but decreasing the lifesteal. Similarly, like we just did the Reaper. We want to make sure that with some of these items, even if they need some love, we just make sure that we know where we want to give that love and take away if necessary. So the lifesteal, we want to continue to monitor how strong lifesteal is across the board and make sure that we're not just inundating the game with too much health regen.
Did we fix Mike Typhon as well?
Not yet, I don't believe.
Okay.
Wait, what was wrong with Mike Typhon?
He wasn't pathing in our test yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
we
Was that
might
just
have fixed
internal?
that like tangentially, but
I know it was internal, but I don't know if it's. I was popped into my head when this item came up. I was like, wait, did we fix this?
If you guys see a book next week with Mike Tyson, you know where it came from. You know we're on it. But consumables, last thing on here, health and mana regen effects from consumable potions and chalices are now removed upon entering the
So
fight.
this was kind of a little bit more of like hidden knowledge or
It's a minor thing,
exploity
but
kind of thing, like where if you pop chalices, you could leave the fountain, re-enter, pop them again, and then like get the effects
Stack 'em,
and
stack 'em, stack 'em.
the consumable like stacks inside, and that was never really intended, and I feel like not a lot of people were talking about it because it was such hidden knowledge, but this is basically a bug that we are fixing. Like even people in chat are just like, who snitch? It's like, guys, like this isn't stuff that should be in the game, right? These are things that aren't intentional for the most part, and this was not the way in Smite 1 either.
So let's look at the balance overview then, coming out next week, all being well.
And then I have a couple things that we didn't talk about
Go for it.
on Wednesday that are just kind of
Additional
bug fixes / other things. We fixed an issue where Titans were targeting gods while minions were in range.
Okay.
We fixed an issue where god bots could get stuck on fire giant doors in Conquest. We fixed an issue where the Titan minimap icon did not show that it was being debuffed in Joust.
Ah, okay.
Joust lane objectives now show the stun duration of the objective debuff.
Oh, cool.
The objective debuff now switches to the Phoenix if the debuff is still active when the Phoenix respawns.
Cool.
In Assault fans, RTO is now considered a tier 1 healer in random draft.
That's big.
That's it. That's all I got.
Huge. RTO now a healer, less complaints. For 2 seconds until the next healer comes up. What about this one? Awesome. That was really quick. Clumsy, you were a speed demon today. Let me just tell you. You were just like, I want to get through this.
I feel like I just say things quickly, and I literally just start leaning back, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to close my eyes for the rest
For
of the
me
show.
to say that too, I'm like, oh, okay. But that gives us a little bit more free time now because we've got still about 30 minutes. We can take some questions from
should I
chat.
slow things down?
So when are we dealing with the Tahuti problem? So I will say first off, it's
I'm sleeping.
I don't think like we don't like it to be in a situation where it's like there are certain items that you feel like you have to build every game, right? That is the only real problem of Tahuti, right? Other than that, it's like it's a good item, right? And it prevents us from necessarily balancing other things the way we may want to because of its existence, right? And we know that you're going to get a certain percentage.
Large scale change that just by changing the one item, it's not like we can just get away with it. We would need to do a lot more, and I don't want to use the excuse if there's a lot on our plate, but there's a lot of really exciting stuff that we want to continue to work towards as well. That this is like the least bad problem to have right now that still exists in the game. I think I'm really huge into making sure that like builds aren't restricted too much. I mean, I think I worked on the Rod of Tahuti change back in Smite 1. That being said, I think the biggest harmful part of it existing right now in Smite 2 is not just a build restriction, but more so just like casual players may not know to go it. As silly as that might sound to you guys, and they're going to be suffering for it. But outside of those two things, it's not the worst problem to have right now, and we will tackle it. We said we did, and I think the fact that we talked about it is probably why people keep mentioning it, and that's totally okay. Hold us on to that. But there's a lot that we want to do.
Pawn's Patch of Terror. We'll address that and other things.
And there's so much more that we want to do that I think are going to be as exciting, if not more.
Man, a lot of dev-focused questions.
Like, are we going to die in the ice storm? Or
No. Like, what's our sprint schedule? Do we have Kanban boards and Canary releases? And
that's exciting.
Do we use GitHub or GitLab? And what are our favorite IDEs?
We use Post-it notes on a white note.
I think most of our programmers work in JetBrains, and we use Why am I having a brain fart? What's our version control software that we use?
Perforce?
Perforce.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go. And we also have other stuff. But anyway, yeah, we can talk more about other things. But I thought it was interesting. We don't get like in the weeds dev questions very often. Corporate espionage moment. You can't steal our stuff with that. Believe me.
Please acknowledge our love for Tiamat. We all understand and know the love for Tiamat. I got the pleasure of working on Tiamat in SMITE 1, but that still is me, the first one, saying I don't think we're going to get her anytime soon. She is a lot of work.
Are there any considerations to buffing objectives in Joust because they are really weak?
Buffing objectives in Joust either being, are we talking about the Titans, like the structures, or the objectives being basically just the Lost Knight? I know we, in the other game that we even had a playtest, were like, oh wow, someone killed the Lost Knight really, really fast. But that was also like, we did a lot of changes in the pacing of Joust, so that like 15 to 20 minutes in, you already have kind of 5 to 6 items in your level 20. I think some of that is
Lost
probably
Knight
where
seems
it comes
to be
down
most
to.
of the complaint.
Yeah. I'm curious if that's the feeling at all times in the game or just towards the late game. And maybe since we did those pacing changes, the Lost Knight just needed a little bit of a buff up to.
I will say Joust overall should be a little bit shorter than a Conquest.
Yeah,
it's kind of by design to be a shorter experience.
Even in that same
you don't want to be
I'm pretty
an
sure
hour,
it was a 20 plus minute game.
Yeah, you don't want to be 40, 60 minutes into a Joust game, in my opinion. It's kind of
exactly.
Real extreme tips gets in that case.
Can we use legacy gems when we buy all the new event? No, you cannot. I talked through this a little bit on the show on Wednesday, whenever that was. But this event is a saga, which is traditionally a diamond only thing, plus a bunch of travelers, which are mostly diamond only. There are 1 or 2 travelers that you could purchase individually at a legacy gem discounted rate, but the buy all price is cheaper than just the diamonds that you would pay for those things. So it is cheaper, and I know it's weird, but it is cheaper than if we had put on like a minor legacy gem discount for those couple of travelers that do have a legacy gem discount, and then charged you like more for them in exchange. So yeah.
Thoughts on making Eye of Erebus invisible wall and bushes if this buff doesn't pan out? I'm actually not super excited about that. I'd rather the item be good for like the situations that it's good for, rather than like good because of cheese situations.
Sneaky wall, yeah.
Yeah, like that's might be the only way people use Eye of Erebus, because it's strong in that sense. And then it's like, well, that's not very exciting. It can't be utilized for, what it's meant to be good for, which is more of like zoning control.
Sorry, I'm taking all the saga questions, but I say another one. Will the 8,000 cost for the new saga event go down when you buy items individually? My understanding is that it will go down, but it will go down. I believe the way that we set it up is it will just go down 800 per traveler that you buy individually, because there's 10 things that are components of it. So if you, which is less than you would spend to buy the thing individually. So the cheapest way is just to do the buy all. If you do buy a couple travelers and then decide later to buy it, you can get a discount on it, but it's not going to be discounted the full amount that it would be if you bought the whole thing buy all.
And Jax, I know you're posting the same thing over and over again, but I just replied to it, so I have no idea if you were stuck on an ad or whatever.
That's kind of the habit. There's no ads. Just kind of the habit of like, I just keep spamming it in chat without even know I got an answer.
Tavares, happy birthday to your brother. And to Jithans.
Any thoughts on plans to change how penetration items work in the game? Yeah, that's kind of part of what we were talking about, right? Like, I think that there are a number of things that we would like to address in the game, that we have plans to do so. It's just prioritizing these kind of bigger sweeping changes that require touching every item in the game to really make it work, versus focusing on the stuff that we need to ship every update. So it's always, a balancing act of how we're trying to get everything done. Hopefully you feel like there's a lot of good stuff in this update with the Joust map visual update, the saga and the buy all, and Chiron and his aspect, and other stuff.
How do you guys feel about a stacking item that evolves into an active item once it's complete?
So I think I've talked about stacking items quite a bit, where like I've said that they're some of the most popular items because they just feel good, they're simple, but they're also kind of traps. I like the idea of them having more uniqueness to them. Again, I think my favorite stacking item is Prophetic Cloak. A stacking item that changes into an active item, I think, is pretty interesting. It'd be ideal if the stacking component of it also was unique, but the fact that it changes into something else that isn't just a permanent evolving thing is cool. It just needs to have both those still need to have a purpose. Like the idea as a whole is cool, but the stacking component and the reason why it exists and the active component still needs to have their own reasons for it.
I was like tablet in the later days of Smite.
A lot of people like tablet, but that effectively just became a proc item. That's all. It's just like true damage, proc damage.
Yeah, but it just got bigger over time.
Yes,
numbers go up.
That's pretty good. As a mage,
I'd like my numbies to go up.
I agree. Can we?
You know what other item I was thinking about from Smite 1 the other day that I miss? I miss E-Staff.
E-Staff had a really tough process of whether people liked it or not. It was kind of complicated too. I didn't dislike it. I think I designed that version of it, but it was a bit.
The magical brawler kind of items, like we could use a few more along those lines, and this is just an item that works.
I agree, but then you have all of these solo laners in chat, and then in my Discord that go, wah, warriors have to exist in solo lane, and nothing else can ever be meta in the solo lane, and I just go sleeper.
I don't think they minded about like guardians being meta in solo.
They did in Smite 1.
Did they?
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
We got lambasted for whenever guardians were in solo lane.
Whenever someone can set another tower and turtle, that's when solo laners get upset. They like to turtle themselves, but they don't like the others being able to turtle. Is part of the issue there.
So
we want reasons to fight, but we don't want to get too far behind. But we also want farm, and we want to be higher level than other people, but we want to fight.
Yes.
But we also don't want to turtle.
You know who I've been enjoying in solo lane? I've been enjoying Bertio a lot in solo lane.
Yep, it's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, her stats actually are pretty. I was looking for a reason to nerf it because I thought it was super strong, but it's just okay.
Can we just buff our current anti-heal options to be stronger? I think the devs, no Pompon's mentioned about some sort of looks at anti-heal once again in terms of options. Nothing just yet, though.
Yeah, I mean, we nerfed some lifesteals you saw just here in this patch itself. I think we're going to stick with those approaches for now until, the design team can figure out if and how we would want to change healing more.
Does the clear red dot feature auto-claim the master progression routes? I'm not sure if it does, Laffy.
I don't believe so.
The main thing is get rid of the red dot for the OCD people that really get frustrated with it. And to be clear, I also get really frustrated by seeing that red dot. So I think it's just one of the ways we can look to do that.
I think there's two kinds of people. They're the kind of people who are like, I can't have a single red dot, and the kind of people who
I'm like that.
I'm just covered in red dots, and I
don't care. Yeah.
I don't like the red dots, but I knew I wasn't going to win this fight,
something.
so I stopped.
Is anti-heal this controversial in any other game?
Yes, healing is always controversial in general.
Healing is a very difficult thing to balance well because it's one of those things it feels good to the thing that feels the best in games is dealing damage, right? And most people do not like having their damage negated, right? But there's a certain subset of people that really like healing. But other people find it unfun to play against sometimes. So it's just it's always a balancing act of when it's strong, there's a certain percentage of people that hate it, and when it's weak, there's a certain percentage of people that hate it.
Combat healing and out of combat healing as well, because you could have PvP games, you could have fighter games, you could have even MMOs like World of Warcraft Arena and stuff where you have healing, but it's all combat healing. But then you have our game as well where you have to worry about the PvE side, the restoration side of things, and out of combat healing. Historically, as lifesteal in a way is actually probably stronger because of its out of combat healing than it is its combat healing. Which is why brawling was kind of the way it existed in Smite 1.
Let's see. Yeah, every game has had game-ruining healing metas. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
And tank metas too. They're tough. Crit metas, burst meta, tank meta, heal meta, right? Those are not just Smite specific, that's for sure.
I don't think any dev has ever cracked it.
Yeah. I mean, and
to be clear, I think you can go to any game and find complaints about healing, sustain, tankiness,
Overwatch had the shield meta. I remember that one.
It's part of the flow. Especially with a live game too. If it's a PvE game, it's a completely different story.
Yeah. But I mean, you also want games like live service games to not inherently be permanently balanced all the time. You want there to be peaks and troughs. You want there to be change.
Exactly. You want change.
I've heard about the Sylvanas ultimate doing the small knockup versus the large knockup. I think that's just a bug. I'm not entirely sure why it's happening, but we were talking about that on my stream at one point. So
really, I thought that Sylvanas aspect we were talking about.
Yeah, but it was happening with non-aspects Sylvanas, and it was
okay.
happening like inconsistently.
Yeah, okay.
And it was weird.
I was gonna say aspect one is supposed to be small. Right?
Yeah, but it felt like sometimes the
affecting the
non-aspect
normal.
ulti was getting affected by the aspect ulti, which is weird.
Is there any plans to add more bruiser items?
There are plans to add all sorts of items.
Oh, there's the thing everyone's always like, is it going to get this ever? And it's like, yeah, possibly.
I think
but
like
just no
the
confirmed.
bruisers and soul laners themselves want the current bruiser items to be nerfed so that other bruiser items can be buffed. And it's like, okay, well, everyone wants everything, and we just need to work at it one at a time as we can.
When is the patch of terror? We don't have a firm date for that. That's the kind of thing.
We also don't know how terrifying it's going to be.
It's
to
like
be
we
honest.
talked about
we
the
were just
Tahuti
kind of
change or
joking
this
about it,
change,
but
like,
yeah, there's a lot of stuff that like we want to do that
They're on the
makes
list.
more sense to do a lot of it at the same time. But our number one priority is keeping the God pipeline going at the God every 2 week pace, right? And then like there's other stuff that is kind of emergent that we want to address.
Exactly.
And then it's the more long-term stuff that we need to work in to the rest of our available time, which isn't that much because we patch every 2 weeks, right? We don't have, we don't have a massive team that's just sitting here twiddling our thumbs all day waiting for things to do, right? We are getting as much done as we can for every update. And then, hopefully it feels like things are moving quickly enough.
Yeah, and then the people are just like, can we have everything ever in the next patch? Thank you.
Yep. Can we get a section for attack damage items like we did for anti-heal? That does exist on PC. I don't know if it exists on the console store.
We do have notes to try and like help that experience a little bit more.
How do you feel about Thebes? Right now, it's just a bucket of health.
Yeah, I mean, it's not super exciting. I'm not gonna lie. It's just I think it's one of those.
Can we just give it more health?
Huh?
Can we just give it more health?
Yeah, but we kind of did that last time. And they're just like, you just buff chin size and soul devour. It's like, okay. I mean,
no one buys them anyway, right?
Yeah.
So, 2K Thebes. That's all I'm asking for. And I'll just go full regen. Be fine.
Yeah, Yogis is the new Thebes.
Yeah.
I think I've been building Yogi's first item.
I'm still upset Yogis isn't an assault, but there's other items in there that also give sustain. That's my personal frustration.
Yeah, that's because we just
the old days of the Yogis.
Any thoughts of bringing back the side lane scorpions from Smite 1, the cooldown and soul and shield and duo? Not right now. We think there's a lot of things that we want to do for the Conquest map, but we want to make sure that we're... I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing to necessarily pull inspirations and cool things from Smite 1's map, but I think there's always chances for us to do new things too. Like, the Eye of the Jungle and stuff like that from Scorpion, I think was really, really cool. And yeah, let's see what we can do for the map as we go forwards.
That's because there were 7 to 8 Yogis per assault game. Yeah, there were a lot.
I know. I'm aware. I've played way more assault than most of the people in the chat, and I know I've seen so many different metas of people building stuff.
Will Smite Adventures return? Smite Cart? Did someone just mention Smite Cart? I didn't read the rest of your comment because it didn't mention.
No,
Smite
they
Cart.
mentioned Dodgy and Ratatoskr.
Yeah, that's wild, considering Smite Cart and the PvE adventures were the best ones in the world.
The TLDR on that is that like we loved the adventures. They were a lot of fun. We would love to do them again at some point in the future, but we feel like we still have more work to do to make the core game modes better. And time that we spend working on a kind of short-term adventure thing that probably isn't going to be played for very long versus continuing to make our core modes better, probably just not the best use of our time right now.
The adventures were an incredible amount of work. Like, they were not simple or small. It was a lot of time and effort being dedicated to them. They were effectively mini games, to be honest.
Yeah, this is an interesting question. Are we shackled by the God every 2 weeks, or does it have the highest return on investment at this time? I think it's a fair question to ask, right? I think that there are people on both sides of that argument, probably in the community and definitely here internally, right? But I think that there's still something that's good for the community to know that there's like there's something to look forward to every 2 weeks for right now. That their God could be the next God coming is something that I think feels good to people. At some point, almost certainly, we will, skip a 2 week cycle, or we'll, slow down for a little while, or maybe we'll speed up, it kind of depends. But like for right now, I think that this is the right balance of pace for gods plus the other stuff that we want to get done.
I think it's just going to be an age-old question consistently of like, my god's not in the game yet, so that's an excuse not to play almost.
Yeah.
So until we get through that, but at the same time, by season 5, like Smite season 5, we have more gods than season 5 of Smite 1 in game already. And that is just like mind-blowing to me.
And even then, I think I ran into this just last night or something. And aspects obviously come into it, shake things so much because you consider the current gods and aspects. I was in a game yesterday where there were, out of the 10 people in the conquest, 8 of them had aspects, and I was like, even I was just like looking at Scorpion. I'm like, how do I play this? Okay, like what do I need to remember, and what does this mean now for me on my team and the enemy team? And it was a lot. Now if you take each of those and pretend they're another god in a way, well, obviously they're not, or half a god. Our list is big.
Who is the hardest god remaining to be ported in terms of dev effort? There's a couple different things that can contribute to that. Some of the hard gods remaining are King Arthur, because our movement system needs to change a little bit for his autos and whatnot to not.
And his
feel
abilities.
awful.
Every one of his abilities, I think, have a little bit of movement to it.
Yeah.
Which I actually completely forgot, and I love King Arthur.
Kleena's going through walls is a bit of a unique tech that's kind of hard to build out.
Again, Tiamat still for all the different departments, like literally every single department.
Yeah, it just touches every department. Nothing that's like especially hard, but just everybody has to do 3 times the work basically.
Yeah, my bad.
And then the time dilation gods, Oleron and Baki Kujira. Building out the time dilation tech is another thing. So those are all.
I'm totally fine with Baki Kujira not having tie-dye in the ulti and having completely different, but that requires even more investment into something completely different. So even that wouldn't be easy either.
Yeah, we have talked about that for.
Hello, we're back. Hopefully you can all still hear us. I'm just going to do a quick check, but that. Okay, I hear myself. We're back.
Yeah, our stream PC blue screened. It just crashed. So sorry.
Not my fault. Everyone in chat that said it was.
It was.
That's you.
I'll find a reason.
No. Yeah,
I'll find a reason.
It was the ice storm. I like that better.
Can't wait for this VOD. Honestly, I think I'm just going to put up the rest of the video because the rest of it is just going to be a couple of questions anyway.
Yeah.
We'll be fine. Okay, we still got like 10, 15 minutes left. Where did we left off? You were talking Baki Kujira, were you?
We said it'd be interesting. The thought experiment about changing his ulti to not have tie-dye would theoretically allow him to be worked on earlier, but then you have the rest of the issues with Baki Kujira and a new ultimate, which would require more work in a different way, but not easy.
The ice storm is in all the U.S., not all the U.S. I believe it's in Texas right now, and it's kind of working its way up like the southern east part of.
Oh, really?
Moving north.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
So it's gonna hit like Mississippi and then into like Tennessee and
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any
totally did not
hidden
notice that.
movement adjustments in the patch? What is hidden movement?
I mean, we had the movement speed issues that we were talking about that that did get cleaned up and fixed. If that's what they're talking about.
Yeah, okay.
We're always working stuff in the background. Sometimes we have a lot of fixes that, we talk about with performance, whatever, that you guys do notice and we talk about. Sometimes there's like this one where we fixed it, things didn't work out, we pulled it, and I think we're reintroducing it slowly soon, but there'll be more news on that eventually.
How hard would Morgan Le Fay be to port? It's very specific.
She's got the dragon model on the 2.
Yeah.
But outside of that and the stance switching tech under one, which isn't quite the same as the other stance switchers, including like Aladdin's like ability lamps, those are probably the biggest components. And she's got the tech art of her floating sword. That was an endeavor too.
Yeah.
I know you've talked about console chat, but I don't remember the exact details. I feel like it's essential at times when I need to call a Relicus down. Will there be any updates? So we would love to have console chat. The only reason why we haven't turned it on yet, like functionally, we could just push a button on our side and it would work, but we are not allowed to turn it on until it has passed a full certification process by the platforms themselves, by Microsoft and Sony, because it allows people to communicate between different platforms. Because it allows cross-platform communication, they have a large number of certification requirements around it that are very exacting, I would say, that I believe we have met all of those, but they will almost certainly find a couple of things that we did not exactly do the way that they wanted. And this certification process, in a best case scenario, takes 2 weeks. That's really best case. It can take 4 weeks. It can sometimes take even longer. During that certification process, you cannot update the game. So we can't hotfix, we can't ship new content, we can't do anything. So
would we get time off work for that, by the way? Would we just get a break that time?
No.
Somebody says, I never tell them if Sony or Microsoft is the problem. They have the exact same procedures, the exact same process. It's possible that we would go through one with no problems and the other one would take longer and we'd have to resubmit for more certifications. But basically, we just, and we are going to have to go through certification at least one more time anyway, like when we become a full product. So realistically, we probably won't go through another full certification until we drop the beta tag and become a full product, because I don't want to go like a month without updating the game twice. Hopefully that doesn't sound awful to you. I know it sucks because I would love to have chat on console sooner than later. But that is the reason why we don't have it right now. It's not our side. It's not something we don't want to do. It's just I don't want to go a month without updating the game.
Right.
And then have to do it again whenever we decide to drop the beta tag. So, yeah. Any chance we can make the sound of my ward pings different from other people's wards? That's a fair question.
Yeah, I actually asked Kellen recently to see if we can play around with like ward pings versus like the pings on the map versus ward pings versus like God reveal pings.
We use that. We use the ward ping for a lot. I don't know. I don't know.
I can't remember.
I'm trying to look at the real benefit of hearing like a different noise for my personal wards getting a ping. I guess if you're playing solo lane or duo or something. But
it's like I probably know that it's somebody nearer to me in the laning phase. I guess
it makes sense in like a solo lane scenario. But in my mind, it's kind of like if you're a support dropping wards and your carry's going to hear a different noise than a noise for danger.
I'm more interested in just looking into that system as a whole than necessarily that specific suggestion.
The audio changes. Yep.
Is the Kukulkan Saga skin on the new Joust map permanent or just a promotion? We thought it was fun. We'll see if it's permanent or if it just stays for a little while. But yeah, I mean, we haven't made a firm decision, but we just thought it was a cool dragon to throw in there
lean into
temporarily.
Yeah.
Somebody asking about like the average age of Smite 2 players and any ideas to get a younger audience in. I would say that like we have seen that the average age of Smite 2 players, based on what we know, has gone down versus Smite 1 players because we have brought in more of a new audience with Smite 2.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'd hoped it would be a bigger, audience, but like I think we're still pleased with the momentum that we have now, and we're continuing to see new people join the game every day.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give you the exact, age or anything, but I would say that like, yeah, we are generally seeing that like the age is trending down with Smite 2 versus Smite 1. And it, we have a number of things that we do to try and attract new players to the game. Just in general, when you attract new players to a game, they are going to be a younger audience because older people are set in their ways and play their same old games, or they're not looking for live service games because they have more responsibilities because they're old.
I'd guess like 80% of the people in chat are in their mid-20s and probably played from when they were around 14 to 16, 14 to 18 is probably the window that they started, and then got super addicted and cracked out, and now here, watching their Titan Talks.
Almost every game has their biggest quartile of players. I forget if it's quartile or whatever, but the biggest like age range segment of players is 18 to 24. Like almost every game, most of your players are age 18 to 24 because that's the time in your life when you have the most time to be playing video games. You are still young enough that you don't have a ton of responsibilities. Yep. You're old enough that you don't necessarily have your parents looking over your shoulders and asking you why you're playing Smite all day. And it's just, that's the way that it works. And then like people keep playing games a lot older than they used to, right? Like I still play a lot of video games. I mean, I work in the industry, but even if I didn't, I would still be playing video games. And I'm old now. But yeah, like 18 to 24 is still the sweet spot for like PC console hardcore gaming.
Just like, wait, Hindu cooked us. I'm like, no, I didn't cook you. I just know because I was here. I was here when you started and saw you all grow up and now like have opinions about stuff that once upon a time you were complaining about just a small light balance. Now it's overhauls of systems,
All right.
It is time for
one more question.
Which will be 7. But it's 2:01. A couple of reminders then real quick as we look for a couple of questions. SMITE Prime is back. February kickoff. Things are going on. NA Conquest weekend, 7th for the NA folk. EU Conquest will be on the 21st. There's no stopping NA kids playing on EU and EU stopping on NA, just to put that out there. And additionally, there will be an NA Joust tournament. Yes, Joust is going to get a little bit of a foray. Make sure you tune in and check it out if you're interested in Joust. And make sure you partake if you want to and you want to really push to see how competitive you are in Joust. Additionally, there is an art competition with Divine Valentine's art contest available. Submit your artwork over at SMITE Prime to keep track of all that. What questions we got? You didn't even look, did you?
I was
just
looking.
Sat there.
I was looking.
No, I did. I had one.
Doing the spiel.
Any thoughts on changing items like Pridwin back from actives to on alt effects? So it's funny that it's like we're in this reverse world now because when we first designed the Arthurian items to be on alt effects, that was just our way of basically going like, darn, we wish we had an active button that we could press. And then we finally got to Smite 2 where we could do that, and we went, okay, like let's do the thing that we've always wanted to do, which is let you do these cool effects on demand. Yes, I can see some desire to have like more unique passive triggers so that you kind of like free up active slots, right? Just more ways of like turning active items into passive ones so that you can, you might not have to have 3 or you might want to have different ones instead. I can understand that goal, but no, I think like Pridwin and certain items like that were already honestly designed in Smite 1 to ideally be in the current way they are now. But I understand wanting to pivot for, less active items or different types of active items.
I'm going to say something and then I will take a question. For people that joined the show late, Ice Storm coming this weekend.
Yes.
We may or may not be in the office on Monday, so there may or may not be a Titan Talk. And we are still aiming for Tuesday for the patch, but if we don't have electricity and we can't get the patch out, it might be delayed. We don't want to delay it, but if there is, it's often termed an act of God, if there's severe weather event and the power goes out, sorry.
If you all submit 100,000 diamonds each,
right now,
I will make sure it happens. That's what I'll say.
I like that.
Honestly, I
Okay.
think you can do it.
Listen, during COVID, I was with a World Championship trophy at Plays Houses. Okay, I'm down for
that
anything,
was
okay?
wild.
Yeah.
I remember that.
We've done those things.
The question that I'm going to answer is, do I think that there is a untapped potential for a larger East Asian audience?
Good question.
I think that there's always potential for an increased audience in Asian countries. They like video games a lot. I think that we are a harder fit for that region than you might think because the data that we have suggests that in the markets where we're strongest are like US and Europe, right? Or North America and Europe, because we're good in Canada and Mexico too as well. But North America and Europe. In North America and Europe, both include a lot of mythology in their school curriculums.
Oh, sure.
And people grow up knowing myths. And I think that leads to a greater affinity for like I understand who Zeus and Apollo and Athena and all of these things are. Whereas in a lot of Asian countries, they don't even like teach that much about their own national mythologies.
Yeah,
like,
that's actually really interesting you said that. I was at the National History Museum in England, and we purchased they had a huge thing of mythology, and we purchased a book about Chinese mythology, and that was literally the first like page or two was just like mythology is the term isn't really something that's as important in China as the West have it for like in general. And I was like, that's crazy that I can absolutely echo that feedback.
So that's just been something that we've seen over time, like just in general, like gods that are super resonant in in the West are not as much in the East. Even if, like, when we launched SMITE 2, or excuse me, SMITE 1 on PlayStation in Japan, we made a big deal out of it, and we advertised there a lot, and we used like Japanese gods. And even still, they were like, yeah, okay, right. We did the same thing in China when we, Tencent, we had to deal with Tencent to put SMITE in China. It was very focused on the Chinese gods. They were like, yeah, okay,
I think the big one you always hear is Wukong, though.
Yeah, but like
Wukong is in every movie.
Yeah, it's like they know who Wukong is, they know who Guan Yu is, but I don't think they have the same like, oh my God, I really like mythology in the way that a lot of Western people do. So I think that's the one struggle that we faced with that market.
I know you guys do a lot already, but do you plan on giving more support to tournaments, community-run leagues? They are abundant and are a good portion of your player base. Goofy, in direct answer to that, we do. There is a actual esports hub that you can go to apply for tournaments. You'll talk directly with me. I will help you get diamond prizing for your tournaments, and you will see an increase if those tournaments go on. It's not that we're not interested in doing it. People have to reach out and make contacts. I can't go chasing people down. Is kind of where we're at. But there is a ton of different tournaments you can sign up for in EU, in NA, sometimes in South America too. And if other regions want to partake, they know where to reach me and find me. It's definitely doable. Nice. But I just don't want to point out that we don't do much for them. I'm like, listen, we've never said no at the moment. I've not said no about doing a diamond, giving some sort of diamond prize to support your tournaments. And even on short notice as well. We'll try and make it happen. Did you answer a question?
Yeah, I started.
Okay, I thought you were sneaking through.
Nope.
Well, I guess that's time for us to start wrapping the show then.
Yeah.
It's been a crazy week. I expect, though, if we're going to see some sort of issues with this storm coming through, we will give you updates probably Monday. If I've got phone signal at least, I'll at least make sure I get some sort of messaging out and be like, we're cold. But other than that, we should be seeing you all next week for the patch. But check over the weekend on PTS, try out Kyra. Naja still available there to test out too. And now that you've seen the balance overview, test out some of the new stuff coming to the game. Thank you so much for all tuning in today. I hope you all look after yourselves, and we don't see you beforehand. We'll see you on the battlegrounds. Goodbye.